Imagine this, okay? You wake up one morning and there's this sharp pain in your stomach. At first you're like, probably just something I ate, and you brush it off. But a few hours go by and it is so much worse. Now you're officially worried, so you rush over to the emergency room. The doctors are running a whole barrage of tests. They even keep you overnight just to keep an eye on things. And then, phew, thankfully everything turns out to be completely fine. You head home feeling, deeply relieved. Problem solved, right? Your health is totally intact, and life can just go right back to normal. Well, not quite, because the real nightmare hasn't even started yet. It's actually just quietly waiting to unfold a couple of weeks later, sitting right there in your mailbox.
You open the letter and bam, you see this number, $8,700. No way, right? Suddenly, that sharp physical pain in your stomach has moved directly to your bank account. Let's really dive into this today, because this massive wealth-destroying situation, it literally happens to millions of incredibly responsible people every single year, just because they happen to get sick. In this explainer, we're going to break down exactly why medical debt is one of the absolute biggest financial problems hiding right in plain sight.
So let's start with part 1, the invisible financial threat and why we fail to plan.
Most of us think financial success is all about playing offense, right? Getting that better job, starting to invest, maybe building up multiple income streams. We'll meticulously plan out buying a new car or saving up for that dream summer vacation. But almost nobody wakes up on a random Tuesday and thinks, gee, I should really prepare for a surprise $15,000 emergency room bill. Why is that? Well, it boils down to what's called optimism bias. It's this incredibly powerful psychological belief that negative events are just way less likely to happen to us than to everybody else around us. We know accidents happen, sure. We know people get sick. But deep down, we kind of just don't expect those emergencies to happen to us, right up until they actually do. And honestly, that is exactly where the financial trouble really starts. Because the thing is, medical debt rarely starts out as some giant, reckless financial mistake. It usually starts with a perfectly reasonable decision. You needed care, you got the care, and then the bill shows up. Now you're suddenly facing some immediate and pretty stressful choices. Do you drain your savings, put it on a credit card, beg for a payment plan, or just ignore it completely? Most folks just end up choosing whatever feels easiest in that exact moment of panic, which is usually slapping it on a credit card. After all, just paying a $100 minimum each month seems pretty manageable, right? Seems like no big deal at first. But here's the catch. That minimum payment, it acts exactly like a heavy backpack. When you first slip it on, it really doesn't feel all that heavy. You think, I got this. But as you walk through your financial journey day after day, month after month, every single step gets harder. While you're lugging that debt around, the interest is quietly accumulating, your savings are slowly disappearing, and all your investing gets completely delayed. The original medical bill certainly hurts, but man, it's the long-term consequences of carrying around that heavy backpack that will hurt you even more.
Which brings us to part 2, the psychology of scarcity, when math becomes mental.
You see, this whole thing isn't just about math or numbers on a spreadsheet. Chronic financial stress literally, fundamentally alters how your brain functions. When you get hit with sudden medical debt, you enter into what's known as a scarcity mindset. Basically, your brain becomes totally obsessed with immediate problems. Your view of the future completely shrinks down, and the present just becomes incredibly overwhelmingly loud. Pure survival mode kicks in. So instead of thinking about long-term wealth building or planning your investments, your mental energy is 100% consumed by just figuring out how on earth you're going to make next month's payment. And let me tell you, living in survival mode is terribly expensive. Because that scarcity mindset, it triggers a really dangerous emotional cycle. First, you experience the intense stress. That stress naturally leads you to just avoid making any financial decisions altogether because it's so overwhelming. But that avoidance, it only creates even bigger financial problems down the line. People literally stop opening their bank statements. They stop checking their balances just because it is way too emotionally exhausting. Think about it like this. Avoidance is basically like seeing smoke pouring out of a room in your house and just deciding not to go check where it's coming from. Ignoring the problem absolutely doesn't make it disappear. It just gives the fire more time to grow.
Moving on to part 3, the hidden opportunity cost, the wealth you never create.
To really get this, imagine two people. They have identical incomes, similar lifestyles, and the exact same goals for financial freedom. Now, person A has no major debt. Because of that, they can proactively invest, they can buy assets, and their money naturally grows over time. But person B, they got hit with thousands in medical bills. So instead of growing, they're forced to constantly react. They're just paying down liabilities while their money slowly, steadily disappears. Even with the exact same paycheck coming in, debt forces one person to constantly play defense while the other gets to build an empire. And this right here is exactly where we see how a psychological trap translates into cold, hard, lost wealth over a lifetime. Let's use a really specific example. Let's look at an extra $300 a month to demonstrate this totally invisible concept of opportunity cost. Okay, so if you are able to consistently invest that $300, the immediate result is great, it's money saved. But the long-term impact, that is massive future wealth created for you and your family. But what if that exact same $300 has to go toward paying off medical debt instead? Well, the immediate result is just a bill getting paid. You're back to zero. And the long-term impact? That is future wealth that is permanently lost. The true cost of medical debt isn't just the actual cash leaving your bank account today. It's the invisible future growth and the incredible opportunities that are being entirely wiped out.
And that leads us to part 4, building your castle walls, shifting from offense to defense. So, the big question. How do we actually protect ourselves from this? Well, we have to look at how wealthy people think completely differently about financial shocks. Your average mindset looks at life and nervously asks, what if something goes wrong? But the wealthy mindset looks at life and asks, when something goes wrong, how prepared will I be? See the difference? They fully understand that cars are going to break down, the markets are going to fluctuate, and unfortunately, people are going to get sick. Financial success is absolutely not about perfectly predicting the future. It is all about aggressively preparing for guaranteed uncertainty.
To properly prepare for that uncertainty, you absolutely need a financial seatbelt. We really have to stop thinking about an emergency fund as just some boring, stagnant savings account sitting at the bank. It is so much more than that. It is a vital shock absorber. Think about it. You don't wear a seatbelt because you expect to get into a horrible car crash today. You wear it because accidents are, by definition, utterly unpredictable. Without this financial seatbelt, every single surprise is a full-blown crisis. But with it, surprises just become manageable inconveniences. Having that financial cushion does so much more than just cover a surprise bill. It creates this deep, profound peace of mind. It promotes crystal clear thinking, and it prevents you from totally panicking when challenges inevitably pop up. People who feel financially secure just make better long-term decisions, period. They invest more consistently, and over time, those excellent, calm behavioral habits compound right alongside their money. So think of it like this. On one side, you have your offense. That's your earning and your investing. That's the treasure, right? That's the fun stuff. But on the other side, you absolutely need your defense, your emergency funds, and your insurance. Those are your castle walls. The strongest financial plans in the world absolutely require both of these. You can pile up all the treasure you want, but without thick protective walls around it, a temporary setback, like a random Tuesday trip to the ER, can cause permanent long-term damage. Protection isn't always exciting, I know, but it is absolutely essential. I want to leave you with this final, really provocative thought today. The real goal is building a life where one unexpected event doesn't destroy years of progress. Honestly, that is the true core takeaway of this entire explainer. Wealth isn't just about having the biggest paycheck on the block. It's about having the absolute freedom to handle life's inevitable surprises without spiraling into financial panic. So ask yourself, are you prioritizing your defense? Because trust me, that next surprise is out there somewhere. Building your castle walls long before that unexpected bill ever arrives in the mailbox, that is the absolute key to lasting financial freedom.